G'day mates, I'm Flinty and today I'll bring to you a retrospective look through the album releases from Mum's Basement Records. Hopefully I'll have a few facts for you during this video recording, so let's get started talking about Mum's Basement Records. Actually, I'll start off with a little fact for you. 1. The whole idea of the creation of Mum's Basement Records happened when John Prophet Jr., the creator of the company, accidentally fell down a well. He was trapped down there for nearly 3 days, but while sitting down there, he decided what better thing to do when he escapes than to start a record company releasing very good punk releases.
It was started in 2016.
Now, talking about very good punk releases, the very first album that they released was this. It's the album by the Puts called Hole in One, and it's one hell of an album.
Really wish I knew when I first met you. I just wanted to say that when I first saw you, I couldn't look away. But now you're gone, and it looks like we're through, and you're moving on, so I guess I should too.
This was released on several different colours of vinyl, which you could probably find if you look around if you're a bit of a collector. Now after that, hot on its heels, they decided that it wasn't time to stand still and to start making even more very good albums. So following that came out this album by the Italian band Tough. And in my opinion, this remains one of Mum's Basement Records' very best albums. It's also Tough's 5th album, I believe, and a very good one to boot. Let's take a little bit of a listen. Now this might only have 10 tracks on it, but every single track is a super fast journey into wonderment. So you should definitely check out Tough if you want to. Following that came the latest release, Killer by Eden Back to Life. A science fiction and horror based release. As you can see here, there's 9 tracks, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. 9 tracks, and it's very horror based. Let's take a listen to see if you like the sound of that one.
UFO in the sky, UFO in the sky, landed on Earth, aliens from Mars. Guess it didn't coming for the candy bars. Ayo, better run and hide your girl. Uncles are easy.
They also have a number of other releases which you can find elsewhere. Definitely worth checking out if you have the time. Now following that was Seattle's very own The Wannabes, and finally the release of their 2nd album, which was picked up by Mum's Basement Records. This album had been recorded a number of years ago and people really wanted to hear it, and finally it had come out. So that's great news that Mum's Basement Records were able to do that. This comes on a lovely blue colour vinyl. Let's take a listen to check it out.
Let's go downtown. Come with me.
such a great album. The first time I heard this, it kind of reminded me of the Dickies, that kind of sound. But over time since then, I've come to realise that it's actually its own sound, which I flipping love. Thank you very much, the Wannabes. The next album released by Mum's Basement Records was the Mad Splatters album, which comes in a kind of slipcase album sleeve, which is very interesting. As you can see, there's the members of the band there, and here's a little fact for you about this band. Did you know that the band members of the Mad Splatter have based this on the Children of the Corn, because they actually only have a diet of corn. They've never actually tasted anything else in their whole lives, of course, except for the flavour of plastic. That's a very nice, fast band there.
We actually kind of demoed those songs probably like 4 or 5 years before we actually recorded it. We were kind of on a brief hiatus at the time, and I just, for some reason, just started demoing songs for no reason, and it cohesively became most of what the Roses, came out on the record.
It's a good album, and you should check it out. Should you want to? Next up was the re-release of the Vapheads album. The point remains the same. From 2007, finally getting a vinyl release here on Mum's Basement Records. Let's take a listen to this old classic. Good to see that finally get a record release. Nice one. Next up is Germany's very own Neon Bone and the album The Dog Won't Hunt. It's such a good album. Neon Bone has certainly carved out its own sound through time, hasn't it? And we can all enjoy it a little bit. So why don't you go and check out Neon Bone a little bit more, should you want to. The next release is a little bit special, and another of mine, which I'd say is one of the very best Mum's Basement Records albums. It's Jagger Holly. This album was my very first time of hearing Jagger Holly, who of course had more releases before this one, but I hadn't checked him out. I'm glad I finally did. Jagger Holly's now one of my very favourite bands. They're definitely worth checking out, and you can do that now by listening to this. So good, and definitely an album for fans of Teenage Bottle Rocket and that kind of sound. What a nice album. Next up was this album by the band The Suck. Can you see it here? If you look carefully, you can see the various band members secretly hiding away here on the front cover. Let's take a listen to see what they're all about.
Just
This is again one of my very favourite Mum's Basement releases. This is a really good little album, and if you enjoy songs about stalking and weirdos, then this is the album for you, my friends. Let's move on to the next release on Mum's Basement Records. This unfortunately is the final release by the Italian band The Ponches. That's why they've actually named the record Quit. Will you take a look at that? This only has a handful of songs, but boy, is it a nostalgic romp that'll make you think about the history of the Ponches and be a little bit sad that they've finally gone. Let's take a little bit of a listen. What a lovely release there by the Ponches. Bye bye Ponches. You should check out their album Hum, by the way. Very nice. On Monster Zero Records. Next up we have Flamingo Nosebleed. What a lovely album. This comes on a lovely design record. Should you ever want to take a look, open it up and have a look. Now this has loads of very good songs. My favourite on here being Radiation Love. Let's take a little bit of a listen to see if it wets your whistle some. Now that is interesting, and what else is interesting is that I've got a fact for you about this band. 3. Now did you know that while recording this, they actually all had several nosebleeds? It's simply coincidence. The name of the band wasn't named because of the nosebleeds, but during the recording of this album, they all had torrential nosebleeds, and it wasn't because of all the fights that they have in the band. They simply bled everywhere out of their rotten noses. Next up, this is my belief that this was the best band of last year, 2019, is the mega album, Narcissistic Punk Rock Disorder. This is such a great album. As a fan of horror films and as a fan of pop punk and Italian music, this hits all of the tick boxes. Let's see what it's all about. What a fantastic release. I couldn't harp on about this anymore, even if I flipping did. Look at that, it's nice artwork too. Lovely work there. Let's move on. Hey, it's the Russian stroke, not Russian but Italian band, Volkov. And their recent albums, let's give it a bit of an ear listen to, should you want to.
Come back to you. Every day, if I keep saying somebody takes my brain, I won't come back to you.
It says here that it was recorded between December 2018 and April 2019, and then it says masterpieces take time, you know. And it feels like it took a lot longer than that for this full length to come together, but you know, it was worth it. It's one of my favorite releases.
Well, there's no mistaking that Italian sound that they've carved out for themselves via Russia. This is Volkov, a very good band to check out should you want to. And most recently was Giant Eagle's second album, which, golly gosh, it's probably going to be the record of the year. I don't see anything being as good as this. Some of the songs on this are so good, it's actually insane. I Don't Love Nobody being the standout of the album, and also Southbound, Supreme, Everything Is Lost. So many great songs. Let's check it out now, friends. Now that's a piece of work, isn't it? Thanks very much for having a look at the records of Mom's Basement Records with me. Well, the albums of them anyway. They also have several 7-inches which you could check out too on their website if you could be bothered, or if you just look around with your ears and eyes and caramel mouth. Okay, well take care guys, and I'll see you next time. All the best.
Thank you ever so much for watching my very good video. Don't forget to subscribe to the Very Good channel and come back next week for another very good video. A video to watch. Now, it's a good video.
Everything John puts out is released with love.